Howdy folks, and welcome to the Hillbilly Kitchen. Well, it's almost Thanksgiving and time to start getting those holiday recipes together and that dinner menu planned. So today we're going to be making green bean casserole. Now, some folks love it and some folks hate it, so we're gonna kind of give you some variations so you can make a green bean casserole that even the folks who don't like it might say that wasn't too bad, and the folks that do like it will say, my goodness, what did you do to that? That's the best green bean casserole I ever ate. So it's pretty simple. Our big modification is instead of using a half a cup of milk in ours, we are using a cup of shredded cheddar cheese. Now that's going to make it not quite so mushy. The people who don't like it because it's mushy, mostly the texture. And that half a cup of cheese, or a cup of cheese instead of half a cup of milk, is going to give it a ton more flavor, and it's going to change the texture. You need about a cup and a half or so of French fried onions, and you need a can of cream of mushroom soup. Now, if you have folks who are allergic to mushrooms or just do not like mushrooms, you can use other cream soups. Cream of potato, cream of celery, just about any cream soup that suits your taste and the taste of the people you're cooking for. Or you can make your own cream sauce. Now, if you've watched the Hillbilly Kitchen for any amount of time at all, you know I'm not really crazy about the canned soups, but this is kind of one of those things that has become a tradition, at least in the South, and it has found its way on every Thanksgiving table since probably the 50s. People have been making green bean casserole and they use the canned condensed soup. So if you don't like the canned soups, you can make a cream sauce. Just, brown a little butter, put some onion or onion powder in it, and then add a little flour and a little milk, and you've got a cream sauce that you can use instead of the canned condensed soup. And the only other thing you need is 2 cans of green beans. Now, I'm also adding a little bit of pepper to mine. I've probably only got about 1/4 teaspoon here. You can add it or you can leave it out. And you can add other spices to kind of spice it up a little bit if you want to. But we're going to start by dumping our soup out here. And you can mix this right in your casserole dish if you want to. But since I'm going to be taking pictures of it, I want to keep my casserole dish neat. Do try to get it all out, especially since we're not adding any milk to it. We don't want it to be too dry. We're just trying to keep it from having that mushy stuff going on. And we're going to put half of our cheese in here. Save half of it to top it with. And we're going to put about half of our onions in here. And we're going to save about half of them to top it with. Go ahead and add your pepper and give that a little stir. Now you can add in, like I said, other spices. You could put some bacon crumbles in here. Or if you've got a bunch of leftover ham from Thanksgiving or Christmas and you're looking to make a casserole for dinner, dice up some ham and add it in here, and you could have a dinner casserole out of this instead of a side dish. Okay, just kind of mix that up a little bit. Now you do want to drain your green beans really well. If you don't drain them well, then you'll be back to that mushy texture, and it'll be watery and won't have much flavor. Lots of folks ask about making casseroles ahead of time, especially for the holidays. If you want to make it ahead of time, make it to this point right here. And you can put it in your refrigerator for a day or so, or put it in the freezer for a couple weeks ahead of time, if you wanted to go ahead and make it now for Thanksgiving. If you wanted to make it and take it to work or something, you could mix it up the night before, put it in the fridge, and then put it in your oven that morning before you took it to work. Be careful kind of when you're stirring your green beans up so you don't smush them all. You don't want a bunch of mashed green beans in it. All right. If you freeze it, thaw it out before you start baking it, and you're probably going to want to add a little bit of time to the bacon, maybe an extra 5 or 10 minutes. Just, you know, kind of keep an eye on it. Make sure it gets good and hot. Everything in it's already pretty much cooked. If you want to use fresh green beans, cook them first. Blanch them a little bit until they're kind of tender. You can definitely make it with fresh green beans, especially if you're making your own cream sauce. Okay, now all we're going to do is we're going to put this in our casserole dish. And because I didn't add the milk, I'm going to cover mine before I put it in the oven, because I don't want the top to burn. It doesn't have as much moisture in it or as much liquid in it as the regular variety does that has the milk. And like I said, if you want the regular variety, just leave out the cheese and add a half a cup of milk. But I want to cover mine, and I'm going to put it in a preheated 350 degree oven for about 30 minutes or until it's good and hot. Now, in 30 minutes or so, your casserole dishes are going to magically divide into two. No, not really. I just did to cut down on the editing time for Alex. I did this just kind of to show different ways to serve it, really. But in 30 minutes, it should be hot, kind of bubbly around the edges. And you can see here, we have plenty of moisture in this without the milk. So if you have people who don't like the texture because of, you know, just because it's so mushy, do the cheese, and also it adds a lot of flavor. And I also thought this little casserole dish was so cute. I'm just going to put a little cheese kind of right down the middle. And like I said, you don't have to do the cheese if you want the traditional version. And you can do the milk and still add the cheese if you want to. I mean, you're making it. It's your Thanksgiving. Do it how you want to do it. And then we're going to take the rest of the onions and kind of sprinkle them around. All right, that looks pretty good. Now the only other thing we're going to do is we're going to put this back in the oven for about 5 minutes. We want to melt our cheese, and we want to get these onions on the top really hot and really crispy. A lot of people say brown the onions. Well, they're kind of already brown. You just want to get them kind of hot and sizzly, and that'll make them extra crispy. So just pop this back in your oven for, you know, 5 to 10 minutes, depending on whether or not you forget it. While our onions are browning, I want to share Philippians 4:6 with you. Be careful for nothing, but in everything, by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known unto God. When we pray, God tells us to pray for everything. But when you're asking Him for things, don't forget to give Him thanks for the things that He's already done for you. I was talking to Melinda maybe, I don't know, 6 months ago, and she said about a year ago, I made it a point to never pray without thanking God for something He had done for me that specific day. And she said, I really noticed Him paying a lot more attention to my prayers, and a lot more of my prayers being answered with a yes. So it is important to thank God. Like all parents, He doesn't like ungrateful children. So this year, not just during Thanksgiving, but all through the year, let's remember to thank God for the prayers He's already answered and for the blessings He's already given us. Okay, and in 5 minutes from the time we put it back in the oven, some of our onions are browning a little bit around the edge, and you can see our cheese is all nice and melted. And like I said, the cheese is just a personal option, but it's a way to kind of dress it up a little bit, maybe make it kind of new and different, and you might win some of those people who don't like green bean casserole over to green bean casserole. Because like I said, it's one of those love-hate things. Either folks love it or they hate it. But most people do expect it on a Thanksgiving dinner, at least in this part of the country. So when you're planning your menu, it's pretty easy. It's literally just a matter of opening up a few cans and stirring it up and throwing it in the oven. You might want to consider it as an option to plain old green beans. A little ham, some bacon bits in there is another way to really dress it up and win some of those people over. I hope y'all have a truly blessed Thanksgiving and Christmas season this year. If you have not already, please don't forget to click like and subscribe before you leave. And until next time, remember to put God first.